And we're live. Good morning, guys. We're going to let the old faithful as YouTube and StreamYard catches up because it's always a few second delay. Guys, good morning. When you're in here, give me a 2 before in the chat and we'll start this joker going. It is Tuesday, December 30th. Tomorrow's New Year's Eve. Greg Skeens, good morning. And Greg New was the first one in here. Good morning, both of y'all. Tomorrow's the New Year's Eve. Thanks, Greg, with the 2 before. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, and then Wednesday is New Year's. Wednesday's New Year's Day. Or no, Thursday is New Year's Day. Local Prepper, good morning. What's up, buddy? But we're getting ready to be towards the end of the year. I'm kind of excited. What do people have? Everybody makes New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. So put in the chat what your New Year's resolution is going to be. I don't have any New Year's resolutions. I did it years and years ago. It's like, we're going to eat better. Or we're going to work out. Or we're going to do this. And I'm just like, we're not doing any of this crap anymore. I was like, we're just going to do what we need to do. Keep on prepping. Keep on getting ready for all this fun stuff that's going to come down the pike one of these days. That's probably sooner than later. So, but yeah, well, I will be on. Yeah, Shelly and I will be on tomorrow night. So I got to talk to her and make sure she's got everything ready to go. She's been on a girls trip or something like that. So I hadn't talked to her too much. But, guys, today's topic, and we'll get into it here in a minute, but why the phrase, "I'll figure it out," is so dangerous. We're going to talk about that, this morning, but, hey, first, we've got all the housekeeping stuff. Homestead Meetup, we have it set up January 31st. That's in Bowling Green, Kentucky at the Expo Center where we have all the festivals at. It's a free event. It's on the website. So if you run over to the website and go to, I'd see exactly where I put it. If you go under training, the training tab at the top of the website, click it, and you'll see the Homestead Meetup. Click on that. You can put it in your cart and check out. It's totally free. Put it in your cart, check it out. If you're going to come, that will just give us a better idea of who all is going to be there. It's absolutely free. You can put it in your cart, check out all that stuff. Not going to charge you a dime, but that gives us a way to plan on how many chairs to set up, all that kind of stuff. We're going to be doing we're going to do kind of like a potluck lunch. So everybody bring like a covered dish. We're going to have lunch. We're going to have 2 little workshops in the thing. Josh, which is Shelly's son-in-law, he's going to be doing a demo on winemaking. So it's going to be pretty fun doing that. He might have some finished wine for people to try. I'm not 100% sure. I'll talk to him and see. And then Dana Russell from Russell Homestead, she's going to be doing fermentation stuff. So she's going to be showing us how to do fermented foods, which is going to be fun. So we should have called it like the fermentation meetup or the alcohol meetup or something like that. But it's going to be fun. So if you want to come to that, jump on the website, get your spot in. It doesn't cost you anything at all, but it just helps us know who all's coming. And Chantel, good morning. Danny G, good morning. And Bill, good morning. Also, we've got the pig processing class scheduled. That's going to be March 21st. It's going to be here at my place. We're going to do a pig processing class, start to finish. That animal is going to be alive in the morning, and it's going to be in VacMaster vacuum bags by the end of the afternoon. That is going to be March 21st. That's under the training tab on the website. Cost on it is $200, $200 a person, or $375 for a couple. And if you use the code KSLPIG, that will give you the better price for the couple on it. So put in KSLPIG if 2 people are going to come, and that'll give you some money off it. Also, sheep processing class. We've got it scheduled for April 11th. That's going to be here at my place also. Use the code KSL Sheep, and that will get you, that's $200 a person or $375 a couple. Use the code KSL Pig on that, and that'll get you some money off it if a couple is going to come. So all that is under the training tab on the website. And then, bleeding control kits. We've still got those jokers. Those jokers are flying off the shelf. That's one of the best things right there. That's one of them. And actually, Tina, one of our people, she bought one. I think she bought one right before Christmas, but she sent in a review yesterday that she actually used. Her husband nicked a vein and was bleeding pretty bad, and they used it to stop the bleed and get him all fixed up. So I'm like, hey, there's somebody that we helped right there. And it's like, we used the kit pretty much as soon as we got it. And I'm like, I'm glad it got there in time that you could use that and nothing bad happened. I was like, that's awesome. That's why we're here. We're here to help people out, get them trained, get them awesome supplies and stuff that they can actually use in real life. We're not selling, junky stuff. It's like people are actually using this stuff every day and to save lives and just help people. So get those. The bleeding control kits are 15% off, and then we got free shipping over $75. So how was everybody's Christmas and stuff? So I know some people were in here the other day. We talked about Christmas and everything. So if you got any cool Christmas stuff, tell me about it, and we'll talk about all that kind of fun stuff. Newman, good morning. How are you? So Newman, how was your Christmas? All right. I was texting with Greg New yesterday, and I was like, hey, I was like, I've got to think a tactical Tuesday tip. And he was like, I got one for you. I was like, cool. I was like, give it to me. So Greg gave me this, and I just expanded on it. So this is Greg's ideal, and then I expanded with it. As far as weapons maintenance, knowing how and making it a habit. How many people, when was the last time you took your carry gun out of the holster, disassembled it, and cleaned it? When was the last time somebody did that? I will be truth in advertising. It's been a hot minute since I've cleaned any of my carry guns. I'm going to do it this afternoon. That's going to be one of the things when I get in. I want to take my carry guns, disassemble them, and give them a good thorough cleaning. But when was the last time you did that? When was the last time your extra mags that you carry? When was the last time you took those jokers and made sure if you carry them in your pocket, they weren't full of stinking lint? I guarantee it's been a while for a lot of people. But knowing proper maintenance stuff and, knowing how to, and I guarantee you people got guns for Christmas. Do you know how to disassemble that firearm? Know what parts need to be lubricated? Do you know how to take that gun all the way apart, take the bolt carrier group out of it? That stuff. What parts need to be lubed? I mean, do you know how to take that thing apart, take the bolt carrier group out? Do you have a cleaning kit for your gun? Do you have, all the rods to run down through and clean it? Let's see. Newman is having surgery on my right wrist on Friday. Newman, we will pray for you. I hope everything goes good. Hopefully you have a speedy recovery and no pain would be super nice for you. All right. Good morning. Cleaning my EDC every 3 months. The chat interface is awful. Yeah, I don't know. YouTube. I think YouTube plays games with everybody. But yeah, knowing how to take your firearm apart, knowing what parts need to be lubricated, knowing which lubricant to use on it, knowing how much to put on there. Does your gun like to run a little bit dry, or does it like to run a little bit wet on there? Knowing which cleaners to use. Are you just going to take brake cleaner and spray the whole thing down with brake cleaner, or are you going to use something else? Looking at wear parts. Looking at the wear parts on what wears out, inspecting those, and it's like, hey, this part's looking a little different. Do you have extra wear parts for stuff? Do you have an extra firing pin for your AR-15, or do you have an extra bolt carrier group for it if something goes down? That's having some of those extra parts. I've got all kinds of extra parts for AR-15s. I mean, we put most of mine together, so I would always buy extra parts and just I've got a bin of extra parts of stuff that can go down on you. And then checking out your extra mags, making it a habit of doing stuff. Take your guns. Don't just let them. I guarantee there's people that have guns sitting around that have, if you got your AR-15 behind your door of your bedroom so you can take it when you hear a bump in the night, something like that. When was the last time you took that thing and blew the inch of dust off of it? I guarantee there's people that have inches of dust on some of the guns sitting behind their doors. So guys, make it a habit. Know what you're doing with it. Get super familiar. Be able to strip that gun down and run with it. And then from last Tuesday, as far as setting your guns up and stuff, I started setting some of mine up. And one of the things is I'm going to buy several more flashlights to put on the ends of my guns. I'm planning on doing that. I broke one out. I had a Streamlight. I think it's 1,000 lumen Streamlight. I had it, and I bought it a while back and never mounted it on anything. So I started looking the other day, and I was like, I've got to order the M-lock adapter to put it on one of my rifles because I don't have a. I've got the Magpul M-lock stock or forearm on it. It won't mount up. It's made for a Picatinny rail. I was like, I've got to order one of those. So I'm probably going to order it or just run to Cabela's and pick that thing up. So that's one of my things. We're going to make sure all my guns have lights on them. So I'm going to have to spend a buku of money getting some more lights on guns. I'm not super excited about it, but we'll do it because it needs to be done. Bill says, my ADC gets good cleaning every 2 weeks, and an extra mag gets empty, cleaned, and reloaded on the same day. Bill says he cleans his rifles quarterly. Bill says all his rifles have gun socks to keep the dust off. That's awesome. Cindy, good morning from South Dakota. How are you? So that's Tactical Tuesday. Get weapons maintenance, knowing how to do it and make it a habit. So this afternoon, when y'all get home from work or whatever, get your guns out and give them a good cleaning. Take them, spread them out on the table, start cleaning those jokers, making sure they work, making sure they're going to function. Check out the wear parts and get some extra wear parts for stuff. All right. Why I'll figure it out is dangerous. Does anybody know? I'll be honest, truth in advertising, I am horrible about planning some things, and Shelly can attest to this. A lot of the times, it's like, we'll figure it out. We'll just jump into this and figure it out. I do this a lot in my personal life and as far as my construction business. I will jump into something and I'm like, we're going to figure it out as we go. But typically, that is not a life and death situation. Now, if it's something dangerous we're going to be doing, yes, we'll have a plan and figure it out. But sometimes everyday stuff, I'm just like, man, let's jump in there and figure it out. But in a life and death situation, it's not going to be, let's figure it out. That's super dangerous. I'll figure it out when it happens is not going to be a real good deal. It's not confidence. It's kind of gambling, and you're gambling with your life and other people's lives. If I say, hey, I'll just figure it out on one of my projects in a contracting deal, there's no life and death situations there. Stuff might take a little bit longer, something like that. But in a grid down situation, people's lives are dependent on it. So you're gambling with other people's lives and yours. So, and it's, people don't say it because they're lazy. They say it because it feels reasonable. And then local prepper, I'll figure it out is not prepping. Exactly. I mean, that's 100%. It's kind of a cop out on it. The reasons people rely on that is they've always adapted before, in their work life, they've just adapted. Well, we'll figure it out when it happens. That's cool. Like I said, nobody's life is in danger. Lynn Dudley, good morning. They don't want to think about bad outcomes sometimes. Let me see. They don't want to think about bad outcomes on stuff. They really don't want to think about it. They're just like, they know something bad might happen, but they're just like, ooh, that might really happen. I don't want to think about it. When that boogeyman happens, we'll figure it out, kind of thing. Planning feels overwhelming. They don't want to be overwhelmed with stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, if I really speak this out that something is going to happen, I'm going to have to make a plan for it, and then I'm going to feel overwhelmed that we've got to come up with a plan for all this. They kind of just shut down. They're just like, well, we'll pretend like it's not going to happen, and then if it does happen, we'll just figure it out on the fly. This is not hollering at your wife and saying, hey honey, let's run into town and get something to eat and do some other stuff. And she'll be like, well, what are we going to do? We'll figure it out once we get into town. You can do that stuff because there's 1,000 restaurants, and you can figure out if you want to go to the mall or if you want to go to Cabela's, you can figure it out when you get into town. Part of it is they trust the system's going to work. They're just like, oh, the system's going to work. We don't have to figure it out. Somebody else will figure it out for us. Another big thing is they think that emergencies are going to give a warning. Emergencies aren't going to give a warning. When you blow a tire on the side of the road, there's no warning on that. The tire is just going to blow. And then you're just like, damn, I didn't have a plan for that. I've got to figure something out. Does anybody do this? Do they have on major stuff? I've already admitted that I do it on some minor stuff. Major stuff, I don't do this on. I have a plan for a lot of different stuff. Is there anybody in here that just says, hey, we'll figure it out when it happens? I hope not in big major things. But put it in the chat. If you're like, we'll just figure it out when it happens, let me know. And I'd like to know what you're just going to figure out on that. The thing is, stress does stuff to your brain and it does stuff to your body. And this is kind of the sciencey part about some of this. Under stress, your decisions are slower. So you're under stress. You're like laser focused. That tunnel vision will start kicking in. So your decision making will slow down because you've got tunnel vision on this. If you would have thought about this before, you can just kick back to the plan that you had in place. Your memory's going to drop out. Your memory's going to drop. You're going to forget certain things. Fine motor skills are going to degrade on you. Your emotions are going to override some of your logic. You're going to be emotional about stuff instead of logical about it. And it's the whole thing. You don't rise to your potential. You fall back to your highest level of training. So look at that. This is all some of this stuff. This is why training and stuff like that is super important. Know how to do these things. Make it second nature. If you're doing firearms training, have a plan for that. Keep training on that. If you carry your everyday and you've never drawn your gun out, how do you know that when somebody comes up to you and you have to draw your firearm that you're going to be able to do it? You're going to be fumbling around to probably drop your gun, and it's like, oh man, I should have trained for this. When I'll figure it out is not a deal. It's not a deal then. It's like you've screwed the pooch on that. Basic stuff too. I'll figure it out. How, you're just like, well, if the grid goes down and we've got to cook on the fire pit outside, we'll figure out how to cook on the fire pit outside. Man, if you've never done it, cooking over an open flame is a heck of a lot different than cooking on your stovetop. So you're going to burn some food. You're going to waste some food. Nobody's going to want to eat your burnt rice and beans that, look like charcoal now because you didn't practice on that. And Newman says, nope, I'm an operational medical planner and it bleeds, pun intended, into all parts of my life. Yeah. And that right there, you can't just wing that. You can't just be like, we'll figure it out. If you're doing operational medical stuff, you've got to have a plan in place. It's like, we're not going to figure this out. We're going to take it head on and have a plan for all this. But that is why your planning and your training comes in, because then you can default to it. I mean, if you have done, tourniquets, if you never put a tourniquet on, you buy an IFAC from somebody, you've got all your stuff. If you never put a tourniquet on somebody and you're just like, I'll figure it out when I'm bleeding out. It's like, man, you hadn't even taken the thing out of the wrapper yet. You've not staged it. You've not done anything. So you're sitting there you're sitting there and you're bleeding out, and it's like, oh, great, what am I going to do now? You died because you didn't plan and you said, I'll figure it out when it happens. Or worse off, your kid's bleeding out. You don't know what to do with them. And you're just like, man, I was going to figure it out. Now my kid's dead. It's a crappy thing to think, but this stuff happens every day with people. So real life stuff. Your vehicle breaks down. Right now, we're at wintertime. Your vehicle breaks down. You've got no plans. So then you start panicking. You're making bad decisions. Maybe you're in a bad spot. Pilgrim, good morning. Your vehicle breaks down. You're out on kind of a semi-deserted road. You didn't bring a jacket with you. How many people run out of their truck? You see it all the time. Look at it. Go to stinking Walmart. People are in there in Walmart in their house slippers, pajama pants, and maybe a sweatshirt. And it's like, what if your car breaks down? Do you have a blanket in your car? Do you have on shoes that you can actually walk in and not freeze your toes off? I mean, I typically, if I'm going farther than the gas station that's like half a mile from my house, I've got all my stuff on me. I've got my wallet in my pocket, my extra set of keys, my EDC. I've got actual shoes that I can walk in. I wear, a lot of times I wear a pair of slip-on shoes if I'm going down to the gas station, but those slip-on shoes, I can walk back to my house if I need to. I always keep, and it's funny, my wife kidded me one time. She was like, why do you always keep a pair of Carhartt overalls in your truck? I'm like, you never know. Kentucky weather. Look at it. Sunday, it was 70 something degrees. And then we wake up on Monday morning, it's 28 degrees. So you never know. I always keep an extra jacket in my truck. So if your vehicle breaks down, have some stuff in there. Have a little bit of extra water in there. Have some crackers, some peanut butter and crackers just for stuff. Make sure your spare tire is up and you know how to put a spare tire on there. So look at that. Just basic. And this is not just, SHTF kind of thing. It's everyday stuff. Have a plan for this kind of stuff. A power outage. Let me see. Greg says, disaster kit and outbuilding with seasonal clothes, cash, copies of important papers. Yeah. And that's another thing. Keep stuff in another place. Don't have all your stuff just sitting in your house, because if your house gets blown away or your house catches on fire, boom, all your stuff's in there. And then in the middle of the night, you're running outside, grabbing whatever clothes you took off that are sitting right by the bed. You're grabbing that, and it's 28 degrees outside, and you're standing there in a pair of pajama pants and a t-shirt. You're just like, oh, damn, we're screwed. So Greg has told me, and we talked about that before, having the disaster kit. Get a disaster kit in an outbuilding. Keep a disaster kit in your car. So think about that. Have a place to store some stuff. Nicole Apple, I'm ready to roll at all times. My anxiety doesn't allow anything else anyways. Yeah. I mean, you've got to be ready to roll on stuff. And power outage. Think about this. You've got no plan for a power outage. Your food's going to spoil in your freezers and refrigerator. What about heat? Do you have a plan for heat? Or are you just going to be like, oh, we'll figure it out? How are you going to figure it out? Are you going to jimmy rig a wood stove in your house? If you do, you're probably going to die of carbon monoxide or burn your house down. No communications. What's going to happen when the cell phones, power outage, the cell phone towers go down? Then what are you going to do? You're going to have to get your ham radios out. Do you have a plan for that? Do you even have your ham radios and know how to use these things? Don't just plan, it's a little bitty power outage. We'll be okay. The freezers will be fine. What if it turns into something longer? I have a plan, and this is one of the plans for heat for the house. I have L2 Survive. What's happening? I have an extra wood stove down in my shop that I bought several years ago. I know exactly where it's going to go in the house. I don't want to put it in right now because it's going to take up a little too much room. And we don't need it right this minute. But I have a brand new wood stove sitting on the crate in the house. I went through, figured out where we were going to put it in the house. I measured all the pipe I need, every single bit of supplies that I need to put that wood stove in is sitting in my shop, labeled and ready to go. I'm talking everything down to every last nut and bolt and screw, all the flashing, all the fire caulking, any kind of caulking I need for the roof, all that stuff is sitting in one place labeled wood stove or emergency wood stove for the house. I made a plan on that. I'm just not going to wing it. Like literally everything is there. I went through it in my mind and made a list of everything I needed and then went and purchased all that stuff, and it's sitting there. Cole, I even have a way for my dog to use the potty if she can't go outside. I've literally tried to think of every scenario. Cole, that is amazing. Most people, I tell you, most people are going to be like, screw the animals. We're not going to figure it out. I mean, hey, have you got a way to water your animals if the grid goes down? You know, right now we just go out and hook the water hose up to the spigot, turn the water on, fill the trough up, and let it roll. Have y'all thought about that? Evacuation. You've got no plan. Do you have maps in your vehicle? Probably not. I mean, it depends. If you're traveling in, you know, like one to three states, have maps in there. Have the maps in there setting to if you need to make a plan on it. Get the traffic maps. Know where you're going to go. Do you have medicines? Do you have your medicines that keep you alive? If you take stuff every day, do you have those medicines where you can get it? It's not like, hey, we'll figure it out. I'll make sure to grab the medicines. Make sure you've got that stuff. I mean, family separation. Figure out how you're going to plan that kind of stuff. And honestly, none of these are rare anymore because you keep seeing. Look over in it's Washington State and Oregon, back over in there. They've had like tremendous flooding and stuff like that happening. So look at that. They're doing evacuations and all that. I mean, stuff happens all the time. We had a squall come through Sunday night. Ryan Hall was live. There were stuff, tornado warnings and watches and stuff like that popping up all over the place. So this stuff happens all the time. So you got to be prepared for it. L2 survive. The Welcome Center at the state line has free maps. Yes. Me and Greg knew when we ran up to Indianapolis for the trade show, we stopped in at one of the rest stops and they didn't have any stinking maps. We were looking, they're like, there are no stinking maps. But this was just a small little bitty rest center. So your bigger ones probably do. We just looked real quick and was like, man, they don't have anything. And Bill says, if we're going more than one town away, the road atlas is in the car. Yeah, you got to have it. And Nicole says, Jace Medical is great for stocking up. Yes, Jace is good for stocking up for sure. I've got to talk to those guys and see if we can get a link to save y'all some money. I have not done that yet. I've been meaning to. All right, another big cost, another big thing that's going to cost you, winging it will cost you stuff. Think about it. Forrest Smith, good morning. How are you? Think of what this will cost you. Fuel. If you're just going to wing your strategy on getting the generator out, you hadn't really planned on how long you're going to have to run it, how much you're going to have to run it, what you're going to put on there. So you're going to be wasting fuel. You know, if you hadn't planned, it's like, hey, I only need to run my generator a few hours a day, and you hadn't sat down and figured that out, you're just going to be running the generator 24/7, just guzzling fuel down. So you're going to lose fuel. You're going to lose supplies on stuff. I won't go back to, hey, we're just going to cook. We're going to figure out how to cook our rice and beans, on the open fire. You're going to burn that stuff and turn it into charcoal, and nobody's going to eat it. So there is a whole stinking mess of food that's just gotten ruined. Michigan Silverback, good morning. You're going to have bad purchases. You're going to buy crap that you don't need. You're going to be like, oh, look at this new shiny thing that I bought. And this is not anything that, but yeah, you're just going to look, oh, this new shiny thing I bought. We're going to buy this. And then, we're never going to use it. So you just bad purchases. And, local prepper, medical preps are the next video. The next videos I got you. LP, we need to do the medical preps together. So give me a shout later on today. And if you want to do the medical preps together, we can do the medical preps together if you want. I'm down for that. All right, bad purchases, physical exhaustion. If you don't have a plan, you're going to be running around like a chicken with its head cut off doing stuff. You're just going to be like, oh crap, I got to do this, I got to do that. You're just going to be totally exhausted because you didn't think to pre-stage stuff. Think about some of this stuff. Like one of the things that comes to mind is a water catchment system. If you're like, oh yeah, we'll figure out our water catchment system when the time comes. Have that stuff already set out. Know what you're going to do. Have the supplies sitting there and everything. If not, you're going to be lugging around these totes, putting pipe in, cutting downspouts, doing all this stuff. And you're just like, holy crap, this is stupid. I wished I would have done this before. Go and buy all the supplies to set it up. I've got extra supplies to set up water catchment on every roof on the property. I've not set it up all on my house yet, but I have all the stuff to do it just because my wife doesn't want IBC totes sitting all over the place right now, and honestly, I don't want IBC totes sitting all around the house right this minute, but they're there and they've got everything. All the supplies are in the shop ready to go. So all we have to do is get the totes up here, set them up, connect them to the downspouts, and we're set and ready to go. Bobby Spags, good morning, buddy. Also, emotional burnout. If you're doing all this stuff and you're just sitting there, if you're just sitting there and you're just like, holy crap, I am worn out. I am dead. You're going to be emotionally burnt out because you're just like, I can't believe I was this stupid to do this and this stupid not to plan. So you're going to be emotionally burnt out on this stuff. Danny says, I've used Jason Wellness Company. I have not looked at Wellness Company. I want to take them and have a look at them. And Greg is, don't forget getting healthy and fit as possible. Yes. And we'll touch on that. That's one of the things everybody's, we're not going to be, what is it? Meal Team 6 is what everybody wants to be. SEAL Team 6, but everybody winds up being Meal Team 6 is what it ends up looking like. Healthy stuff. I'll be honest. I went off the rails at Christmas. I ate tons of sugar, tons of carbs and all that. And starting today, we're going back on carnivore and starting to get healthy. I need to lose a little bit of weight. When I was back on there, my wrists were not hurting and stuff like that. My inflammation was down. But yes, getting healthy. You're not going to be, think about it. If you're just, I'll figure it out. How are you going to chop wood if you're 500 pounds? How are you going to chop wood if you're 500 pounds and you can barely pick your splitting maul up? You're not going to cut a lot of wood. Your ass is going to be cold until you get fit, or you're not fit enough to go out there and you have a heart attack cutting wood. Then you're a liability to your family. You've died out there cutting wood. So yes, getting healthy and getting fit as possible is an awesome thing to do. Don't put it off and don't say, we'll figure it out, because you're not going to figure it out. Your wife's going to figure it out after you've had a heart attack out there cutting wood. All right. What real kind of preparedness stuff looks like. It's not about predicting stuff. It's about reducing your unknowns. So look at this. Real preparedness includes simple decision triggers. If X happens, we do Y. So if the power goes out, we do this. And if the power goes out for this long, then we do this. So simple decision stuff. Prepackaged essentials. Have prepackaged stuff that you can grab. Let's see what our local prepper said. This is a great subject, but is anybody listening? Hopefully the people on here listening, hopefully I'm preaching to the choir, LP, would be nice. I know some of these people have done this, and I know some people are listening to this, and I know some people are already doing this. Maybe there's some little nuggets in there for people. Observe, act, and decide. Yes. And Nicole, I've been fasting for short periods of time and working out. If SHTF, I won't be taken down. our whole food supply. Yeah, that's another thing, like tactical fasting. Billy over at Permapastures talks about that a bunch. And he talks about that a bunch as far as tactically fasting and figuring out how long you can go, and then actually, be able to function. LP, you're good. Keep commenting. It helps everything. That's another thing. Like the show, give it a thumbs up. Also share it out. That helps the algorithm. One of the biggest things is if you share this video out, it helps get to more people, because YouTube is not going to push us, because I'm not up here showing my boobs and stuff like that, so you got to work extra hard on stuff. But yes, shoot it out, share it. And LP, you can keep going on as much as you want to. I don't care a bit. And then Danny, any chance having somebody like Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy do a class on suturing at the festival? Danny, I am working on all that kind of stuff. There's some stuff behind the scenes that we're working on as far as medical preparedness, and we'll be announcing that pretty soon. So it'll be interesting. Just stay tuned for that. Utah Mike, good morning. Michigan Silverback, spot on. I pinched a nerve in my lower back mid-October. I'm still recovering. Hadn't planned on that at all. Yeah. Small stuff like that. I mean, a pinched nerve in your back will take you down. All right, prepackaged essentials. Have your stuff. If you know you might need to evacuate, have medicine, your medicine sitting there that you need. If you've got your medicine that you need every day, take it, keep it in your bathroom in a little bag. So then that way, if you need to leave quick, you can grab that. You've got all your stuff right there. And this prepackaged essentials too goes into your bug out bag, or your, all that kind of stuff. Have a bag that you can grab and you throw in your truck that's got essentials for, 72 hours. Have a whole tote of freeze-dried food and supplies that you can grab it, throw it in the back of the truck and go. You need one or two clear options on stuff. Don't have 37 different options on stuff, and then you're sitting there looking at your options and you're like, man, should we do number 1 or should we do number 18? Have one or two and go with that. And really think about those. Don't just be like, this is the option 1, this is option 2, and just don't even think about it. Run through those and actually spend some time. These are our 2 best options to pick from. Don't have 37 different options on stuff. L2 survive. If you have people coming to your house, you should have them pre-staged supplies at your property that they will need when they arrive. Clothes, foods, weapons, and tools. Yeah. And L2, I had a conversation with some people several years ago that wanted to come to my place. And I'm like, I want you to have X amount of months of everything you need here. I was like, I'm going to build the space for you. We're going to condition the space for you, and you can store it. You can have 24/7 access to it. I was like, don't show up at 3 o'clock in the morning wanting to get something, because then I'm going to be pissed off. So we did that, and they were like, okay. And then they just kind of backed out on it. But yes, have everything, because my thing is, yes, you can store all that stuff at your house, but if you're going to have to load up a stinking semi to bring it, what if everything, and not everybody's got a semi, but if you look at it, if your car breaks down and all your stuff is in your car and you're going to have to wind up walking to that person's house, then you're only going to be able to carry what's on your back, and you're not going to be able to carry that much stuff. So then all your stuff is stuck on the side of the road, or it's stuck back at your house. But L2 survive, that is a big thing. And I've talked to people about that. And Bill, it's probably never going to happen, Bill, so don't worry about that. And Utah Mike, I had a power outage last Saturday, a 6-hour power outages, and at least a dozen neighbors checked in. Community is everything. Yeah, 100%. Chantel says, working on prepping almost every day. Sometimes I have to work 12-hour shifts. Well, Chantel, you could still sleep for 8 hours and have 4 hours to do your prep stuff. So, all right, 1 or 2 clear options that you've got. Don't have 37,000 options. Have 1 or 2. Rehearsed routines of stuff. Know what you're going to do. if you've got all your prepackaged essential gear, where is it in your house? How long is it going to take you to get it into your vehicle? Take all that stuff. And the best thing to do, honestly, would be go outside and run around, do some jumping jacks, get your heart rate up a little bit, and then load your stuff. Because the thing is, if you're in a stressful situation, you're already going to be a little bit stressed. Your heart rate's going to be up. You're going to be breathing a little bit more. So run around, get your heart rate up, and then load your vehicle and see what happens with that. So rehearse that stuff. Build in redundancy. Have backups to backups to backups of stuff. And you don't need 37 million plans. You need one or two real good plans. Family and communication stuff, look at it. If your family doesn't know the plan, you don't have one. If all your plan is up here in your head and you've never told it to anybody else, you don't have a plan for your family. You have a plan for you that you think your family knows. If you've got common failures on this, is no meetup locations. Where's everybody going to meet? Were we going to meet at mom's house, or were we going to meet over at the McDonald's? Where was everybody going to meet? Was I supposed to stay here at school and my parents were going to pick me up when something happens? Or was I supposed to start walking home? Or was I supposed to do this? No meetup locations. Your family doesn't know. No comms backups. How are we going to talk to each other when these things go down? Do we have radios in the truck? Do we have radios at home? Do we have a handheld radio that we can take with us if we're not in the vehicle? Nobody has any assigned roles. I'm going to do this. This is my lane that I'm taking care of. This is my assigned role when stuff's going on. This is my wife's assigned role. These are the kids' assigned roles. People are running around doing other stuff. If you're in here taking care of one thing and your wife doesn't know that you're taking care of it, she might come down and working on the same thing. It's like, why are we doing the same thing? Have some assigned roles that each person is going to do. But now if they have help, that doesn't mean that you can't come help them. If they're like, hey, I know this is my assigned role, but I might need a few minutes helping. Let's do that. No clear authority. You can see that a lot. Who has authority? Who is the decision maker on stuff? Somebody has to be the head. And I'm not being chauvinistic about it, but somebody has to be the head and make the final call on stuff. So look at that. Replace the I'll figure it out with these things. If this happens, we do this. One of the big things, power outages. I know all over the country there's power outages going on all the time. Some people live with power outages that happen all the stinking time. Most of the time around here, we don't have horrible power outages. And if we do, it's somebody like hitting a pole and knocking a transformer out. And our electric company gets that thing going pretty stinking quick. So if the power is out longer than X hours, we're going to do Y. If the power is out longer than 8 hours or longer than 6 hours, then we're going to get the generator out. Or if the power's out longer than, so many hours, we're going to get our solar generator out and start running it. Make sure the refrigerator's good to go. That kind of stuff. If we can't reach each other with cell phones or even with your radios, we're going to meet at X location. This is super simple planning stuff, not that we'll figure it out. If we've got to leave our property, we're going to X place. We're going to Joe Blow's house. And what are we going to grab if we have to leave? Have that stuff planned out. Hey, honey, and then this goes back to who's in charge of what. I'm in charge of getting all the gear and the clothes, the guns and the ammunition loaded in there. My wife is in charge of getting the food stuff. My son is in charge of getting all the medical stuff, all the medical totes and stuff like that into the vehicle. Your other son is in charge of making sure we've got, if we're going to take any animals or anything like that, stuff like that. So have everybody a clear definition of what they're going to do. One thing, how to fix some of this, first is have a plan. Look at what is likely to happen in your area. If you live in a place where you never get, I don't know, where you never get a hurricane, but then you look at that, they'll manufacture a hurricane like they did over in Tennessee and North Carolina. But look, write down the 5 most likely emergencies that you've got in your area. So write those down, figure those out, create like a 3-step response to that. If this happens, we do Y. If this happens, write that plan out and then sit down with your family and flesh it out. Don't do the final draft all by yourself. Don't just sit in your basement in your office, come up with all this stuff and then throw it at your family and be like, here it is. Because I guarantee your wife's going to pick it apart. And then I guarantee if your kids are older, they might pick it apart, and something that you've never seen. I will run stuff by people all the time. I'll have something in my head and I'm like, this is the way we're going to do it. And then I show it to one of my friends and they pick it apart. And I'm like, damn, why didn't I see that? It's just because you thought it was right. And this person is coming out from with a fresh eyes. And it's like they always say, Billy and William say all the time, before you design your place, if you're setting up your place and doing permaculture on it and designing your farm, don't design all of it without having somebody else take a look at it. Because they can look at it with a blind eye and be like, hey, this is probably not going to work. So create a plan for this, then run it through your family. Get one of your real good friends to look at it for you. Do that. And then after you've got the plan and after it's been finalized, sit down and tell your family about it. Go over all this stuff. Who's in charge of what? This is what we're doing. This is the plan. If this happens, we're doing this. And then really you need to practice it. And that's what Greg's saying. You need to practice and do a run through of it and see, yes, I've got medical totes. And if you've got a 12-year-old kid and you've got 100-pound medical totes and you put Jimmy in charge of medical totes and Jimmy's like, Dad, I can't grab these 100-pound totes and take all of them up the basement steps and into the truck. So you're like, a good dress rehearsal figured this out. Either we need to put somebody else in charge of the medical totes, or we need to make these medical totes a little bit lighter so Jimmy can haul them up the steps. Or maybe Jimmy might need to do something else. Run through there. And like Greg says, even if it seems difficult, do a full dress rehearsal to finalize and identify the weaknesses. And then Danny, speaking of alternative cache, what ideas are off-site stockpiling? No family nearby. Danny, how much property do you have? And how much property do you have? You can do buried caches. Greg and I have talked about that several times. There's a lot of different stuff you can do. You can bury 55-gallon drums. You can do that and store stuff in the ground. Doing it that way, I've seen people buy plastic septic tanks and bury plastic septic tanks. Yeah, you got to make sure that you plug the holes in it because they got inlet and outlet plugs. So you got to make sure you plug those jokers. But they're standard plumbing fittings, so you shouldn't have a problem with that. You could do that and bury a septic tank. And man, if you get like a 1,500-gallon septic tank, you can put a lot of stuff in a 1,500-gallon septic tank. Another thing, if you've got a storm shelter, you can do a storm shelter. Store extra supplies in there. And I would tell you, if you have a storm shelter, you need extra supplies, period, in that storm shelter. Because think about this. If you're actually going into a storm shelter, you're going in there thinking, hey, my house is probably not going to be there. And then all my belongings are going to be scattered out in the front yard, or they're going to be 10 miles away in somebody else's front yard. So have extra food, have some water in your storm shelter, have a couple pairs of extra clothes, have some good work gloves in there, have some boots in there for each person in your family. Because like I said, your house might not be there and all your stuff is 5 miles away in the neighbor's yard. You're just like, ooh, I've got my PJs on. How are you going to do anything? Have some cash in there. Have some extra food. Just that's one of the ideas, Danny, is doing that. Greg brought this up, a rental storage unit. That would be an awesome thing. If you've got a storage unit close to your place, stash some stuff there. I mean, it's spreading out. It's spreading out your stuff. I've got some stuff stored at my parents' house, and then I've got my brother's got stuff stored at his house. We're all 5-6 miles away, so we're pretty close on stuff. Let's see. Bill said, yesterday morning I woke up with no electric fence. The wind Sunday night blew some good sized limbs across the fence. Had to walk out back of the property and clear the fence line. Yeah, look at that. No animals were harmed or missing, but it could happen very easily. Good perimeter fence. Yes, good perimeter fence is worth its weight in gold. Scrivener, share written plans and rehearse. Cross-train so every job has 2 people in case one doesn't show up. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's redundancy on it. So have 2 people that are going to do it. If you can, have 2 people that are your medical people that are cross-trained. Just the cross-training is super important on stuff. I've talked about that with several people. It's like you need to know how to do your job and somebody else's job, and just doing that. I mean, think about it. What if you're medic. What if your medic is sick? What if you've got some kind of flu or something running through and your medic's sick? If nobody else knows how to do medical, you're just like, hey, we're down on medical stuff until our medic gets better. You're kind of screwed. But if you've got somebody that's cross-trained in it, they don't have to know everything, but they can take care of some of the stuff, then you're way better off on it. So, I mean, real preparedness stuff isn't about control. It's more about clarity and knowing what to do in situations. I'll figure it out sounds flexible, and it's like we're just going to roll with the flow and we'll figure it out on the fly. That's going to get a lot of people killed. So guys, I implore you to this week, Tactical Tuesday, get your guns out, clean and maintain those jokers this afternoon. And then also tonight, start setting down. If you don't have a plan, if you fell into the I'll figure it out deal, start with a plan. Just sit there before you go to sleep. Instead of watching some stupid stuff on Netflix or watching some football or basketball or whatever stuff's going on right now, instead of watching that game, sit there with a pen and pencil and write out some plans, write out some weak points, stuff that you've not figured out yet. And if you've got a plan, run through it or get it and call one of your friends and share it with them. Be like, hey, here's my plan. You've been to my place. Here's my plan on some stuff. Pick it apart. See if you can figure out its weaknesses. Do that kind of stuff. Having a plan and coming up with a plan, the only thing it's going to cost you is some time right now. And then once you get your plan, then you can execute with it. So guys, I hope you've gotten some value out of this. Don't forget, run by the website. Check it out. We've got the Homestead Meetup, January 31st. Pig processing class is on the website, and the sheep processing class is on the website too. And Danny, we've got some stuff. You're talking about the suture, and we've got some stuff coming up planned about that. Will be out shortly. So guys, I appreciate it. I've got to pack some orders up, and then I've actually got to go dig some comfrey today. I'm not really excited about digging comfrey when it's 30 degrees outside, but I've got to dig some comfrey and get some comfrey sent out, and pack up some orders and shoot them out, and then do some other stuff. Guys, I appreciate you, and I will see y'all. Shelly and I will be here Wednesday night. We'll be here Wednesday night, and then I'll be back here on Friday morning. Guys, I appreciate it, and y'all be safe and come up with a plan. See you later.